Hanson, Sherman,
Here.
Tucker.
Here.
Look at the minutes from the last meeting.
Was that just February? Seems like a long time ago.
Which does have in it 4 p.m.
Look, it does.
Right there.
It's right there.
Hey, it's hail season. I'm like,
Well, I said to him, I should have mentioned the time.
I didn't even look at it, to be honest.
You don't have to plan as far in advance as I do.
Motion to approve the minutes from the meeting of February 20th, 2019.
It's been moved.
Guess you really can't second it because you wasn't here.
Huh?
I'll
Guess you
second.
can't second it 'cause you wasn't here.
It's been moved and seconded to approve the minutes. Roll call vote.
Sherman,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Keaton.
Yes.
Financial statements.
Would you, I'm kind of doing this, would you mind going over those, please?
I can do that. All right, so are the quarterly statements, so it's a reflection of how we stand at the end of April, but the payments and everything are reflected from February through April. We had a full cash balance of $121,500 and some dollars. We had some CD investments of about $420,000. At the end of April, we had $101,466 in service revenue, and then we had interest revenue of about $7,000, and some miscellaneous revenue of about $400. The service revenue did not include our final tournament in April. That will be reflected in the May financial statements, but we did have several good
And it
tournaments.
reflected the one baseball, but not the
Yes,
one softball.
yes, that is correct. For the expenses, the year-to-date expenses for personnel were $168,358. We had materials and supplies of a little over $95,000.
Doesn't sound good.
And we had expenses for other services and charges of about $85,000. We did have a few capital outlay expenses of approximately $32,000. Our total expenses for year-to-date were $530,000. You look at our encumbrances there on page 4. This is what is outstanding and encumbered at the end of April. Don't really see anything extraordinary in there. Just mostly our standard items that we would have. And then the final pages are the payments, and there's a variety of payments in there, being that it had been a quarter. Our biggest expenses obviously are personnel-related expenses. Don't really see anything once again. Oh, we did have our camera installation purchased for about $8,400. That took place in that quarter. I don't remember.
I don't see any days on here that I came out either.
Otherwise, there's not really any extraordinary expenses there. Does anybody have any questions on that?
What do you call it? You're in a meeting.
Entertain a motion to approve the financials.
Sounds wonderful out there, doesn't it? the metal building.
How's the building?
Okay, next item on the agenda.
Is that why we're missing?
Motion to approve financials through April 30th, 2019.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded to approve financials through April 2019. Roll call vote.
Sherman?
Yes.
Tucker?
Yes.
Keaton? No. Smith?
Yes.
My turn.
Yours.
We did have two very good, very successful tournaments in April, one baseball, one softball. The baseball one was a one-day, and it was an amazing one-day, where after the day that it was and how smooth everything went, we would probably look to do more one-days. A lot of people will come, they like the one-days instead of coming two, so we'll look to do more of those. The softball was a two-day, still was a really good weekend. We're going to play this weekend with 26 teams, 2 days, and if we do not play this weekend, we will look to see how many can come back the following weekend. See, I know that's high school graduation, but I think graduation's on Friday, is that correct? Do you know? High school graduation? No, it's fine. Soccer was pretty good. We did have some rainouts. We could reschedule some. There was some we couldn't reschedule due to end-of-school activities. Everybody gets really busy. Still looking for groundskeeper. We're also going to start trying to find some seasonal help from now until probably September, October-ish. Is that kind of what we said? Help with the
Well,
mowing.
it keeps raining, it may be longer than that.
Well, that's true. So, that's about all I have right now. We do have a lot on our plate. Anybody have any questions for me?
The groundskeeper, I fell behind. Was it a person that we hired in the wintertime and then they quit when we needed them? Is that?
Yeah, they started like in November, October-ish, and then,
What happened? I mean, I never even met the person.
he was a college student. He just felt like he had a lot more on his plate than we expected.
Do we have any potential people out there that you
I mean,
know?
I have a few applications in there that, to bring in, interview, and see how that works out.
Because as soon as it does get that rain, you're going to be really busy mowing.
Mhm. Yeah. And I'm losing some part-time. I'm losing one this week. I'm losing another one at the end of May. I'm losing one more then in July. So I'm losing 3 just over the summertime.
Any other questions? Okay. Kevin?
Well, I'll let Brandon speak first, and then I'll fill in blanks where he leaves it out.
Okay.
The biggest thing right now that we're working on is trying to get this pool figured out. We did get permission to open it back up with some chlorination things and some procedural things that we got to teach staff when it comes on. So, and then it's a big up in the air kind of push on getting the pool actually rebuilt over the next year after that. Can't really think of anything else really huge that City Council is working on.
Well,
The biggest.
we're working on water well projects as far as water's concerned. We're working on chlorination station out in the well field that's being constructed right now. We're out to bid right now for sewer lift station over here on Skyline. Those bid openings will be June 5th. Again, personnel is a big issue. We've got several openings, not just here. We've got, typically we try to hire about 6 or 8 seasonal workers for mowing crews, and I've got no applicants on that. Some of the applicants we had for some full-time positions, besides the one Courtney's has, hasn't really worked out great, so we're still looking for additional people. Not along with the groundskeeper out here, we're also looking for a parks maintenance person to handle the other parks. It's just it's a personnel is a pretty big issue right now. We're searching for different alternatives to try to get the word out that we're looking for people and are hiring. And just trying to exhaust all the methods that we have available to us. And that would be all I think that we've got going on besides budget.
Are you kicking around, instead of hiring, bidding it out?
I bid it out a couple of years ago and had no bidders. I tried to do that. It might have been just this time last year.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember.
I mean, it did kind of help that we started, we leased that out for Bill and Max.
Yeah, we
That
bailed the
helped
big
a
part
little
of,
bit,
the big portion out
but,
here, which has provided Courtney a little bit of help, but it's still a pretty big deal. We used to get about 16 to 18 inmates. We now typically get somewhere between 6 and 9.
What is that?
Part of it is them having people that they feel that they can let out.
Gotcha.
They say their numbers aren't to the levels that they need to be at to go out. The numbers have kind of gone down.
Have we thought about partial bidding? Like, hey, just do Bud Rose, or,
We had it put out separately, but put out as a group, itemized for each park, but it didn't. We didn't do just Bud Rose, just ARC, or just Hatfield, or just.
I'm just wondering if some of the smaller crews would, if they look at it as a whole and it's an all or nothing thing, some of them are probably like, I can't handle that. But if you were to say like, hey, we'll take a bid for this part or these few properties and maybe section it out, you might get a couple that'll come in and I'll take this one and that one can take that one, and that kind of thing. I don't know, just a.
Yeah. But no, we have not done it.
Okay.
And budget.
Do you want me to start it, or do you want to start it?
Go right ahead.
Okay. Well, Courtney and I have worked on this pretty extensively, along with Angelica's help. It's been kind of a combination of all three. We'll start with revenues. Right now, we're budgeting about the same revenues as we budgeted last year. There's very little difference in the total dollar amount. Some of the areas that we are looking at as increases are, which I think would be a significant increase, youth sports for one. Due to the fact, due to having Megan on and her doing some additional work, and also Courtney doing additional work to bring in additional tournaments, I believe we're going to make, weather permitting, we're going to be able to increase our revenue by about $10,600 there. With the gymnasium rentals going up a little bit over the past year, I feel like that's a historically we can probably do better there. Along with the additional youth sports, obviously comes additional revenues for concession stands and concession revenues, and from what we have been receiving in the past, what we anticipate receiving over the next, or we anticipated receiving over the next, the remainder of this year, I believe 42,000 is in that area is a achievable number. Our interest is going up. We haven't had to cash in CDs. I believe about $8,500 will do it. Miscellaneous revenues really based on our historical trends. Miscellaneous is, it's just miscellaneous revenues that we may receive in. We're going to budget $1,000. You can see over the past 3 years, we may receive $100 this year. We've got nearly $600 last year. Kind of the same thing. Just seeing what we might be able to get. We're going to budget for about $1,000 worth of donations. We have not received that over the last few years, but there have been years we've received substantial donations. Possible refunds that we may receive, we're going to budget at $100. The hay field contract is for $210 a year. That's the reason that's been decreased. And the only number that today I'm going to say is in flux a little bit is our sales tax transfers. Before I finalize those numbers, I'd really like to have my sales tax money in for May. And as typically we get those about right now, but when I came out here today, we did not have them yet. Should have them tomorrow. We can finalize those numbers for the year. But based on what we've been receiving, I'm going to estimate right now, with missing 2 months of actual collections, that we're going to probably be looking at collecting about $506,229 next year for sales tax. Again, I will reiterate that when I come to work tomorrow, I ought to have the May's numbers, which I hope will bring that up. But I don't think it'll be any less than that. As far as salaries are concerned, across the board, we're looking at about a $304,987 expenditure for salaries. Personnel committee is meeting next week to finalize our health insurance, and that number could go down a little bit. We're looking at 2 separate policies. One policy will be about a 3% increase. Another policy that we're looking at is going to be about a 14% decrease. So once we have shored up that number and which way we're going to go, we will make some adjustments there. The other numbers are pretty well locked in. Materials and supplies, we feel, based on some of Courtney's notes that you'll see after this, we'll be collecting about $146,000, which is very comparable to what we did this year. Other services and charges will be $105,865, same as what we did this year. Very comparable. Capital outlay projects, we're looking at 2 different projects right now. And what came out of the budget retreat, that would be projects we would want to pursue. That's going to be a total of $234,658. I'll get into those in just a second. Our debt service, we've got another year's of debt service to pay at $179,000. Our total budget, expenditure budget, we're looking at $970,688, which is $449 over what revenues are projected to be at. So what will end up happening right now, our revenue, our numbers for, we've got $420,000 and $420,343.28 in CDs. As of April 30th, we had $121,571 in cash. If we do all of these projects and all of these numbers come in the way we think that they will come in, we will have to cash in some CDs to be able to make this budget work. You've got an outline there that I will let Courtney explain as to the miscellaneous, the other services and charges, and the materials and supplies that she feels are needed. As far as capital outlay, the one project, it's a carryover from this year. It's installing a netting around the ball fields out here, so that somebody doesn't get hit with a ball. This is kind of a liability issue to help protect the spectators. We've been looking for netting. Courtney just hadn't found any that she's happy with yet. So we're going to carry that over to next year. The second capital outlay project, which is the most expensive one, will be a chip and seal project for the parking lot. That should reduce our parking lot expenses. That will reduce some expenses we have typically had for hauling rock in and spreading our rock around. This will be done with City of Alva employees as we're working on chip and seal projects this summer. Chip and seal projects typically go very quickly. We're probably looking at maybe 2 to 3 weeks worth of work to prep, chip and seal, and take care of the parking lot out here. Courtney, have I missed anything?
Jordan, does the personnel expenses account for the vacant positions being
Yes, it
filled?
does.
Okay.
Why are the salaries so much higher?
Well, we are, one, it's going to account for any possible step increases or pay raises that may be given. It's accounting for 3 full-time people, which over the past, when did our field maintenance guy leave? February. We have not had 3 full-time people. It also accounts for 5 part-time people year-round to help with attendant type things, concession stands, manning the building during the evening hours, things like that. It also accounts for 2 part-time people to help with seasonal help with mowing and things like that to keep the fields up. And then during weekend games, things like that, those part-timers would be used, those seasonal people would be used to help chalk and drag fields and things that the groundskeeper would be responsible for. Those two seasonal or additional people, they're not in this year's budget.
Yeah, I get all that. I'm just seeing 2016, 17, and then 18, 19, and 19, 20. It's about a 20% increase every year. That seems pretty stout to me, but I'm just asking. I'm not.
Yeah, no, that's, I mean, our actual expenditures, and we've been operating pretty lean
Very lean.
as far as our employees are going. This year budgeting, if we would have been fully staffed, we've been looking at, $257,000 for
If we can get
health
to that number,
insurance and,
we will be pretty good. That means we'll be fully staffed
Right.
and things could be going smooth. Now, past
have-
experiences, we don't always get fully staffed.
and we don't stay fully staffed year round.
Yeah.
But we budget for the anticipation of being fully staffed year round. So that could be part of the reason you're seeing the,
The other thing I've kind of had to do in the
$100,000
past is I've had to use some of my part-timers that I have for evening weekends to help us mow during the day because we don't have those seasonal people. So we tried to extend out hiring 2 additional seasonal, so I could use my evening and weekend people just on evenings and weekends.
So,
but what we do, what I do when I look at the personnel, I look at all the personnel I think we're going to need for the department, the number of hours that they're going to be working, calculating what I think we're going to be paying them, and I budget for that being fully staffed, whether or not we actually get there or not.
Don't worry, it won't get on your tree. There's a bucket there.
I hadn't heard that, just saying. Anybody have any discussion or recommendations on the proposed budget? And Courtney, you're good with how this is, right? Okay. So do we need to approve that? to
It would
send
just
back?
be approve a recommendation to the city council, and with maybe a few minor adjustments, either up in sales tax and down for health insurance. This will be the budget that is requested for this department, for the ARC.
Just the only other question I would have is about the parking lot, leaving out all your cushion of taking out the CDs to do it. I mean, I'm all
Do
for,
what, I'm sorry.
spending so much money on the parking lot just all in 1 year. And
Well, we
take-
can do it in sections. We can do it we don't have to do the whole thing. Like Vinnie's, we could do the whole front, the whole west side, come back the next year and do, around the other direction. We could split it up, because we had talked to Benny about that. So, if that's something, that we want to do, I do know that our parking lot's it should have been done 10 years ago,
Right.
And
And I'm all
it
for doing it,
would
I'm just
have
saying,
paid for itself 10 years ago.
you eat up a lot of your cushion just in one.
You do.
but we also get rid of the debt service this year.
Does that go this year? Okay.
Yeah, we will have, in July of 2020, we have one payment, and that's the final
That's the
payment.
final one.
It wouldn't take that long to build back up $400,000 in CDs.
Gotcha. That was gonna be my other question.
Yeah, that's the only reason, I had the same feeling, but then I looked at in finance committee, I looked at the.
One of the things that we considered about the parking lot is that, we know our costs are just gonna go up to do that over the next few years. And it's either do it now at these costs or break it up, and it'll end up costing us more. And it'll also require me to pull you know, I can get out here, get it done, and I don't have to, my street department guys don't have to worry about being out here again in the future years, and that's of some benefit.
Or we could just spend the money and just build domes over the ball fields and then.
And close the ball
We could,
fields.
yeah,
Or at least AstroTurf with some
well, yeah,
drainage.
yes. Then we could have a tournament every
Yeah,
weekend.
with the- So how long would it take to replace 400,000? Like, what are the payments? How long?
$179,000 a year.
$179,000 a year.
A couple of years.
A couple of years. And it's still a couple of years, but. And you can kind of look at it two ways. You split it up, we still get rid of the payment, and then you can maybe pay cash for it in the future and not get rid of the CDs, but then you're spreading it out over 3 to 4 years to not.
When you have a bigger
Make it-
cost in the
Make
long
it cost
run.
more, and make it cost more.
So you're not saving money.
Right.
To just not messing up the cash flow.
Well, if we're gonna have no more payments, then I say.
I mean, if you're getting out of an interest payment.
Yeah.
Entertain a motion to recommend it to the,
Still not
City
100%
council.
on how that works, so you guys go for it.
No, it's gotta be you.
What do
You
I
haven't done one yet.
Make a motion to approve.
Oh, I make a motion to approve this
Financial,
financial.
or wait,
No,
The budget.
The budget.
Make a
That's
motion to
my forwarding.
recommend to city council that you recommend the 2019, 2020.
Well, good Lord, don't give her all this
You're
stuff.
right,
Yeah.
someone projected on the board.
you see that line right there on number 6 where it
Hold
says
on.
budget recommendation? You
I
just say-
recommend,
You make a motion to recommend the budget.
Courtney said it,
Yeah.
and JC backs it. Who seconds that, bad boy?
I'll second it.
it's been
We'll
moved
go
and
with
seconded. Roll call vote.
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Sherman,
Yes.
Smith.
Yes. Okay, Northwestern Memorandum of Understanding.
Yeah, that's kind of to me. I did talk to Brad, I did not see anything that really needed changed. Everything is working pretty smooth between the college and the rec center right now. Don't have any issues, there's good communication. Brad said that, he was gonna check with David, but I didn't hear back from him, everything was good on their end, and I did not, so,
I checked with David and
Must be good on their
everything
end,
was
so-
good on their end,
yeah.
so
So if this is something, if everybody's okay with the way, this is just exactly how it was written last year, of course with the date changes, but we will move forward on getting this signed. And I guess that's how it
Because
is.
we already kind of had everything in there that we needed.
Yeah, I think so at this time, and each year if we see something that needs to be changed. we'll
So we
change it.
changed it last year, didn't we? Just a little bit? and-
Yeah, I don't even know what we exactly changed, but we changed a little bit of that. So,
Motion to approve the ARC Memorandum of Understanding with Northwestern Oklahoma State University on soccer field and softball field for fiscal year 2019-2020.
take a notice, Tracy.
That was impressive. I'll second that.
Thanks for
It's been
making
moved
me
and
look
seconded. Have a roll call vote, please.
Sherman,
Yes.
Tucker,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes.
Keaton.
Yes.
Any remarks? Or, it says inquiries. Instead of inquiries.
The only question I got, Court, is the ryegrass on the baseball fields, how's it look this year? I was gonna go tour the fields before the meeting, but I didn't get to see
Drive
it.
out,
You didn't bring it
drive the north side.
Yeah, did it come in good, or spotty again, or?
It's pretty spotty. I don't think it was put down correctly. And I will just leave it at that.
So something we're gonna correct next year?
Yes.
They're do different?
I just think it wasn't a two-direction thing. I think it was just kind of a one direction and maybe drove a little too fast or whatever. But
Okay,
it does look okay. It's looking better. We went and we fertilized all the fields, it's getting there. I did, I should have probably said this in my director's report, but I had a guy come in, he's from Arlen Company, and I know that it doesn't mean anything to you guys, but he specializes in turf management. And so he did some soil samples on our fields, gave us a breakdown, he's gonna give us a breakdown of what our fields need, and he's gonna give me a breakdown every month or seasonally, what we need to do. This, you know, in the fall you need to do this, spring you need to do this, you know, which will help us tremendously. We will have some guidelines and this is what we need to put down per field with those soil samples, so going in the right direction.
Cool. All right.
And that's all.